Good evening, Californios. This is PodCast29 for the weekend of December 11th, 2021. And we are Red Star Report. This is Voices for the California Nation. So, way back on December 8th of this year, which does seem like forever ago in the never-ending three-ring clown show we Californians are forced to live in these days for being stuck in this collapsing fascist USA, in a statement that pits California squarely against the capital of red state superstitious chauvinism, stupidity, and general shittiness, also known as Texas, Gavin Newsom announced that if Roe versus Wade was overturned by America's new kangaroo Supreme Court, California would become an abortion sanctuary state. A nation-state-style declaration that slapped Texas and their new abortion law around like it owed California money and queued up the predictable outrage in red state regressive America. No shock there. When any discouraging word coming from California upsets the fascio-billies, new word. Now, in a statement from Saturday evening, California's totally red state, unforgivably not recalled Governor Gavin Newsom called Texas out again. This time telling California lawmakers to use the Texas anti-abortion law's own draconian vigilante strategy to go after the gun industry. Newsom said he was instructing his staff to work with California's legislature and California's attorney general to write a bill that could let California citizens sue anyone who manufactures, distributes, or sells assault weapon, ghost gun kits, or gun parts in California using the precedents established under the new Texas law. That Texas law lets private citizens act like bounty hunters and sue not only the women seeking abortion services, but also abortion providers, and literally anyone that helps a woman in Texas exercise her right to end an unwanted pregnancy after only 6 weeks for up to $10,000 per violation, plus costs and attorney fees. So, Newsom has called for a law giving ordinary California residents legal standing to file lawsuits against purveyors of restricted firearms. A move motivated by obvious disgust at this Trump-stacked U.S. Supreme Court's decision to let Texas get away with the suppression of women's reproductive choices. Now, I could debate a California position on abortion or guns here, but to be honest, there are plenty of people out there in this echo chamber preaching to those choirs already. I have no desire to get lost in the background noise except to say that in a free and independent California, we'd be free as Californians to make those decisions ourselves based on the merit of the arguments and the will of the California people. That's not even controversial. Because even as the red state pundits close their eyes, cover their ears, and inhale to scream their displeasure at California trying to rain on their parade, I just gotta smile. Now, don't get me wrong. I love watching Texans go apoplectic with rage every time Californians remind them that they don't really belong, in the discussion. They're places at the kiddie table when the grown-ups are talking. But for me, and for the California independence movement, the real joygasm button here is the newfound sense of purpose it can give us when we realize there's been a change in attitude here. Gavin Newsom, as California governor, is developing a gunfighter's quick draw here on that nation state card. Or did nobody else catch the level of how dare you that just played out here? This Texas law and the not-so-Supreme Court ruling that will now enable it have crossed a line that those who believe in California values see as intolerable. And intolerable acts lead to big changes. Make no mistake, we're seeing something new here, as a California governor's first reaction is to punch down hard as a nation that won't be bullied by lesser entities with their obnoxious anti-California agendas. And the right-wing national press has the nerve to look surprised. I've already read articles that work very hard to prove that gun rights and reproductive rights as human rights can't be allowed to be subject to the same rules. It's God's law for one, and the Constitution for the other, at least in their interpretation. Mostly by the usual pundits and lawmakers in red states desperate to ignore the insanity in their version of Christo-fascist America, where gun rights have more protection than women's rights. They really want to just laugh it off and dismiss any effort made in old California against their agenda as just coming from a bunch of weakling avocado toast eating hippies. They comfort themselves with the lie that California somehow is as dysfunctional as their own states, even as they rely on stolen California tax dollars from federal subsidies just to keep their lights on. They don't get it. And the joke's on them, or at least it will be. They think this is just a game of own them Cali libs. Never dawns the realization that every time they push California to fight for its rights or its culture as a nation state, California inches just a little closer to independence. And every time I see it happening, I just have to smile as it warms the soul of my inner secessionist. Because any resistance movement through history would tell you that the best thing you can do is let the opposition do your heavy lifting. It's even a Napoleonic quote and a favorite of mine. Never interrupt your enemy when they are making a mistake. And this is the hard lesson I seriously doubt the U.S. is ever going to learn. Every time California acts like a nation state, it gets closer to being a nation unto itself. That is Voices for the California Nation. Shankar Singham is on assignment, so tonight we'll go straight to talking points. All right. On this segment of Talking Points, let's open up a whole new can of worms with a whole new addition to those pesky frequently asked questions. That question goes, isn't CalExit just trying to divide America? I even get this one from friends and family members. It seems to be a favorite of the if only we can just all come together as a country and just vote for Democrats and Republicans, then America will be just fine crowd. And the I'm not really into politics, but crowd, and the I'm good with things the way they are as long as I'm not inconvenienced by how bad things are actually getting crowd and recognize it yet. It's that same, even though my socks are getting wet and the Titanic is listing to one side, as long as the band plays on, everything will be all right mentality that has allowed the USA to ignore very fundamental problems for the last 40 years. Isn't CalExit trying to divide America? No. The people are doing this all on their own, and it's only accelerating in the information age. In fact, the people asking this question, whether they know it or not, have it backwards. From Donald Trump's Republicans to Bob Avakian's RevComs, all of them are operating from the assumption that they are actually the ones trying to unite and or save the country. Unfortunately, they're also operating from the position that this can only be done with their vision of the future. Only they can save us. A messianic complex where not one of them seems to recognize the very obvious problems that whatever they do, half the country isn't going to accept it and will want to fight to get it back. I mean, one side talks about civil war and the other side talks about revolution. Both see it as a matter of political dominance where only they can save America. So no matter how much they stress looking for a peaceful solution, conflict under these conditions will be unavoidable. And self-fulfilling prophecies usually only benefit people who love to say, I told you so. These issues get more complicated when we see the Republican Party establishment suffering and struggling to embrace the fascism of the alt-right, just as corporate Democrats keep trying to silence the socialist leanings of the Progressive Caucus. While the U.S. national media keeps trying to find political centers that don't really exist, and even if they did, we've already seen that the center cannot hold. Why didn't it? Here's a little hint. Because there's really no such thing as a centrist. In today's USA, 40% of the country aren't centrists. They're apolitical. They just don't give a shit about politics unless it affects their guns, their taxes, their gas prices, their kids' schools, or their social security checks, etc., etc., etc. On and on ad infinitum. Beyond that, they can't be bothered. So why doesn't everybody just stop pretending that those people are going to rise up, take their side, and make a political difference? Talking point. Isn't CalExit just trying to divide America? No, CalExit isn't. The saying in the California independence movement goes, any activism or movement that tries to fix America but rejects the option of California independence has already accepted failure as a viable option for the people of California. America's divisions are socioeconomical, racial, cultural, regional, and a whole lot of other things. That's not going to change anytime soon. We need to face it. Independence movements are one of the few things we politically talk about today that are actually offering some kind of solution to America's growing divisions. So the California independence movement, like any of the other independence movements going on in the world today, isn't a thing or isn't the thing dividing America. It's a 2 plus 2 equals 4 recognition that America is already divided beyond reasonable repair. It's an acceptance that we as Californians would be better off going our own way in a separate nation where self-determination by a vast majority of people who share common values is the best solution. Because what's the alternative? Are we really going to opt to live in a country where half the population hates everything California stands for? What good is living in a divided country where half the country must always try to force the other half of the country to live under their rules? Has that ever worked? Don't California my America? Don't Texas my California? And all done at the point of a gun? Are we going to have re-education camps or worse, concentration camps? Are we going to actually consider the slaughter of civil war for what amount to minor political differences? Or do we maybe seek an amicable separation? A national divorce where we can all stay friends because we don't have to all live together and don't have to agree with each other all the time. So, is CalExit just trying to divide America? No, it isn't. But that doesn't stop us from hoping it happens before it's too late. This is Talking Points. Well, that's it for this week. Podcast 29, one more to go for 2021. Check out our website, www.redstarreport.com. Transcripts of Talking Points will be posted there. And hit the subscribe button on our Red Star Report YouTube channel. Please hit it. Really. Go find our Red Star Report Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, etc., etc. Because if you want a real California Independence Movement media group, you know it's coming. It's all about the algorithms. Our thanks to you and all our Red Star Rebels for watching. We are Red Star Report.